Hey guys, so today is the last of the series of insulin sensitivity and blood sugar response. This was a series I put together after I was asked a question about how one can improve insulin sensitivity, and today I'm going to give you some great takeaways that you can implement no matter if your goal is getting on stage or just getting into better body composition or just being in better general health. Check it out. So first, let's talk about what we've already covered. So in the first video, I went through definitions as far as what is insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance, blood sugar, and you can check on the link below if you're watching this on YouTube. You can click on that old video. In the second video, I talked about blood sugar and how you can affect it and improve that. And again, that link is below. You can go and see that. But today what we're going to talk about is how can you improve your insulin sensitivity. Insulin sensitivity is how easily your body utilizes insulin to process glucose in your blood sugar. And so you want to have better insulin sensitivity to help your body respond to those carbohydrates. And the reason why, there's many reasons. I mean, one is just for basic health. You know, I like to use the analogy of a car. I mean, if you constantly are, burning your tires up, running them hard, you're going to need new tires soon. Well, if your body is always secreting insulin, and that comes from your pancreas, you're going to wear that out. So you don't want to do any more insulin than you need to. And that's part of the aging process and a whole host of other health implications. But also, the reason why this is important is it's going to help you have a better body composition. In other words, staying leaner, being able to have a better lower body fat, more muscle. For those competing in physique sport, obviously this is an advantage, but even people who just want to look good, feel good, move good, this is going to help them too. So some people respond better to carbohydrates than others. That's something that's going to be an individual case-by-case basis, but there are some very common things that can help everybody regardless of how well their body processes carbs or how sensitive they are to insulin. So the first thing we're going to talk about is stress. So if your stress levels are high, it's going to make it harder for that insulin response to be there as good as it could. Now, right along with that is sleep. So there's been research out there that showed, if you're not getting enough sleep, your body's insulin sensitivity goes down. And, I find that these two things actually go hand in hand. Typically if you're under a lot of stress, you're probably not sleeping as good. And again, if you're sleeping well, stress is probably down. So those are two things that you can do. And, just stress isn't going to go away, but again, how to manage that can be helpful and again, help your body's response to carbs. So another thing you can do to help with insulin sensitivity is how you manage your carbs. Now, in the last video, I spoke a little bit to this as far as blood sugar, but I want to go a little bit deeper today. So again, carbohydrates, when you ingest carbohydrates, they spike your blood sugar, which raises your insulin. And there are carbohydrates that do this more than others. So if we want to improve insulin sensitivity, what you want to do is you actually want to reduce the amount of insulin that your body has to secrete to manage the carbs. So a couple obvious things that should stick out. One is eat less carbs. Now, that doesn't mean eliminate them completely. Yes, that's an extreme, and yes, that will bring your insulin levels down. But if you look at your day, prioritize when you're taking your carbs in. Have those carbs when you're most active. So that could be before you train or after you train. That's when your body needs them the most. Or when you wake up. All three of those times is when your blood sugar is going to drop. And so your body's going to be able to handle the carbs and the blood sugar better, and you're going to get a better insulin response at that time. So if it's not those times, if it's not before workouts, after workouts, or during workouts, or maybe first thing in the morning, keep the carbs low or gone completely. So then that way your body can basically recharge, and so when those carbs are reintroduced, then it can respond better and be more efficient at using those carbohydrates. You want to take this a step further and say, okay, yep, did that, still having that trouble with the carbs and processing the carbs, start eliminating them in those specific areas, before you train. Get rid of the carbs there. Just have them after you train. After your workout, it really is the best time to take those carbs because, again, your blood sugar's low, you've depleted those glycogen sources, and your body's going to best able to use those carbs to where you need them to go, which is going to be in your muscle tissue. You don't want them to be stored in the fat cells. So another thing you can do is spread out your meals. I mentioned about not having carbs throughout the day except for those key times. Well, by spreading those meals out, again, you're going to bring those blood sugar levels down. It's going to help your body recharge and rejuvenate by keeping those insulin levels low. So, not just saying have the carbs before or after you train, but also allowing more time between those meals to allow that insulin level to drop. Now, I talked about post-workout carbs and why that's a good time to take it. So this is a great segue into the other thing you can do to help with insulin sensitivity. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but it's exercise, it's workout, it's activity. However, there's a specific way that you can get the most bang for your time and your exercise buck. Now, what you want to do is activities that are going to deplete the glycogen and help your insulin response. You do that by doing higher repetitions that are going to help deplete the glycogen. So by doing higher repetitions, this is really what's going to help deplete that glycogen and help your body be more insulin responsive. So what it's not is, it's not doing lower reps, things like that, because you're really not going to deplete that glycogen. It's going to stress that body out. Also, doing aerobic activity like cardio, that again, it's activity, and that's great, and that's burning calories, and that's wonderful, but we really want to deplete that glycogen. So you're going to do activity that's going to do that. That's your, again, you're lifting in that 14, 15 rep range, maybe even doing some sprints, things like that, but really depleting those glycogen stores. That will help with that insulin sensitivity as well. Another thing you can do there's some supplements out there called GDAs, or glucose disposable agents. Now, these are things that help your body handle blood sugar better, help insulin work better. There's various things out there, but those are things also you can do. And again, there's some foods out there, some examples of natural foods like cinnamon that you can do to help with that too. So I wouldn't say that this is a top tier thing, but if you've got all these other bases covered, this would be something else that you can do just to take it to that next level. So a good question you might have is, how do I know if I have poor insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance? Well, this is something that when you go in and get a physical, your doctor does what's called a fasted glucose test. And basically it's you wake up, fasted, and they test your blood to see how much glucose you have in it. The goal there is to have it below 100. And you can do this on your own and see, if you use a glucometer, where you prick your finger and test your blood, you can do that. But certainly, going back in and getting that physical is a way to do it. You're not going to do that frequently, but that's a good indication. Also, does diabetes, does that run in your family? Do you have a family history of that? And if so, you're probably at higher risk than say somebody who doesn't. So these are all factors. And then most people know if their body handles carbohydrates well. Body composition, you can tell when your blood sugar is going up or down. So those are kind of some hints and some ways to measure and really know if this is something that you should really be focusing on. But again, I think it's something that everybody should be concerned about regardless of what their history is or where their blood sugars are at specifically. Okay, so I hope this series was helpful. So again, this is important for people who are concerned about their health, which should be everybody, but then also more specifically body composition, getting that body fat as low as possible and keeping that muscle tissue up. And this is something that everybody should be paying attention to, no matter whether you've got a lot of body fat to lose or if you're that ectomorph that's really naturally thin. That insulin response can vary, doesn't matter what your body type is. So again, thank you for watching. I appreciate that question. If you have others, shoot me a message, comment below. Until next time, guys, thanks again for watching. Keep making every day count. Talk to you soon.